Residents of Region 10, Linden in particular, would have this afternoon enter a new phase of struggle in pursuit of justice. And with that, I'd like to make a presentation as a statement on behalf of the victims, of the families who lost their loved ones, and also those who were injured in relation to the payments. Note we are not officially referring to this as compensation. The payments that were paid by the state after it was established by the Commission of Inquiry that it was the state that was responsible for the murders and injuries to persons within Linden Region 10 on the 18th of July and beyond. Today's act on the part of the government, that is, honoring of the Linden Commission of Inquiry, awarding of damages to the families of our martyred brothers, Alan Lewis, Ron Somerset, Shemrai Boye, as well as those injured during the 18th, during this brutal act perpetrated by the state on the people of Linden, does not, as a matter of fact, cannot in any way compensate for the loss or losses, both past and future, suffered by the aforementioned victims. How does one justify the assumption that a man, son, just past the blush of adolescent, was only worth $1 million Guyana, or that a father cut down in his prime warranted a mere $3 million? Is this what it means to be compensated? Can these amounts truly be equivalent to the contributions of these men, to their families, to the community, and to this nation? The simple truth is that what has been presented here today to these valiant men and women, mothers, sons, sisters, and daughters of Alan Lewis, Ron Somerset, and Shemrai Boye, the men, women, and children who have suffered for justice and continue to do so even today. This, what is referred to as compensation, settlement, symbolizes a slap in the faces of these people who deserve so much more. Surely they do not deserve this. As such, on behalf of these courageous men and women here today, I wish to state that the damages awarded by the Linden Commission of Inquiry do not constitute just compensation. That the commissioners of the Linden Inquiry should provide details of the formula used to ascertain compensation and the amounts that were awarded. That the conditions under which these victims only a few minutes ago would have signed in relation to police violence in Linden were issued payments of damages constitutes acceptance of compensation of payments under duress without prejudice to their constitutional rights or other rights in pursuit of any formal payments or formal payments to be made, despite expressing their incomprehension of the conditions of their payments. Consequently, the Regional Democratic Council Region Number 10 wished to express its intention to, at the request of the families of our slain brothers Alan Lewis, Ron Somerset, and Shemrai Boye, as well as those injured in the 18th of July 2012 brutality by the state, pursue all legal options to secure a better compensation settlement for the aforementioned victims. It is indeed worthy to note that a life is worth as little in this nation, which gives the impression that our law enforcement officers are better to kill citizens than to injure or torture them, as is demonstrated in the payments of these, what is referred to as compensation. Persons who enter to sign in receipt of payments were told that they're not allowed to leave with statements that they signed to, and they all sign stating clearly that they object to what they were signing to, as they were not prepared to sign without understanding. It is with this that they have accepted in protest, understanding that future actions may be impeded. Thank you very much. Again, this is just to make mention, and I think the families and those who are injured are here to at least let the media understand that in request of what they were asking for, the statement that was signed, they were not allowed to have copies of that, even though photocopiers were evident in the room that they signed. They weren't given the opportunity to put that no objection on that statement that they signed to. So they did it verbally by saying that they were not in understanding of what it is, and they were told that if you don't sign, you won't be paid. This is indeed a duress of pursuit for persons to sign, not understanding or giving a full and comprehensive insight as to what it is they were doing. And they were not allowed to leave with copies of those statements. Yes, we take questions.
Gary Elias, Kaitra News. In relation to the statement, did you get an opportunity to read the statement? Could you say if you realistically expect that formula to be forthcoming? Because the commissioners would have already, some of them left the country, what's not more. And did you communicate to the president or anybody off to the president intention to go forward and seek a better compensation?
We've always held firm to the position that we are not satisfied.
No, did you formally put this?
Yes, we have formally done that. In fact, the region, through its bilateral engagements with the government, would have made this and several of our engagements, putting this on the agenda, that not only that it is a stingy amount, as was suggested, that was given, but we would like to know what formula was used to arrive at compensation. We have formally made that known to the government. So that is on record. And in accepting whatever payments were made today, acknowledgement that we are still to have before us what is or are the formulas that were used to arrive at compensation. That is known. We've always maintained that, and we will continue to maintain that. We would like to have a justification of what was used to arrive at the formula.
The statement.
Yes.
That they signed. Did you see what was it?
Well, what was said by the persons who signed, it was a voucher, but there was small prints that asked for them to state that they were satisfied with that amount that was given. In acknowledgement of satisfaction, it is believed that you're satisfied to the extent of you would not pursue further action. So it was in their interest to object, to say that they're not satisfied. And they were not allowed to make that objection known in writing, as they were told that they would not be allowed a copy of what they were signing to. To do that, in fact, they were paid in cash. So deliberately, to induce not only the excitement, but the anxiety of the people who should have been receiving the payments, it was to put them under stressful condition where you either take this, if you don't sign it, you wouldn't get it. And that's where the objections came. These are just so that we can have you understand that the region, with all possible options, and this was related to the leader of the opposition, because wherever this matter goes, it is the state that is responsible for compensating these victims. So whoever is manager or managers of the state, the families or those who are injured are saying, we will hold you accountable even as it relates to taking future action.
Chrissy Alzamaris, a couple questions. One, we learned that not everyone is able to collect. I think the family of the deceased didn't. Secondly, who was the officer issuing these payments? And thirdly, why did you turn out to pay? Given your opposition to the previously announced amounts that were paid, why did you turn out to pay?
Why did
Why
we?
collector?
Why collect?
We collect with an understanding that it is their due course to collect, but with an understanding that will further seek whatever more to be compensated. As was expressed, though that is in the statement or the commission report, the commissioner's report, it is an understanding that this is owed to those victims. They've suffered, they have medical expenses. This is almost a year. The commissioners and all those involved in this matter would have been paid for whatever they would have done. These people have suffered, and they've suffered tremendously. And I believe that this should be looked at as a first part of the justice that they seek. And I believe that is why we travel today. As it relates to the payment, I don't believe it is anyone in the official capacity of OP outside of one of the staff that made the payment. What was the first question?
The families that didn't receive.
The families that didn't receive, they were told that they need to get a letter of administration by the attorney that represented those families. And they were promised to receive that shortly so that they can uplift their payments before the day is up. That letter will say the true here to the receipt of the payments that are being made.
Rihanna Bradshaw, you said some persons were injured and some died in the attack. What would you say would be acceptable or equivalent to life loss? How much more would you guys do?
There are established formulas that are used to arrive at compensation, and that is the point we're making, and that is the point we want to establish here and now. We would like to know what was the formula used by the Commission of Inquiry that investigated this matter. We will not use one because we know there are several that can be used. So we're asking, if those weren't used, what was used to arrive at compensation? We don't believe that there's a value for life that you can put on a young man like Mr. Boye or a father of two, Mr. Lewis, to say it is worth this amount. We know that there is also a satisfaction based on a just means of arrival of compensation, and we don't believe there was a just means of arrival of compensation. And that is what we want to know. What was used to arrive at compensation? What formula was used?
Why do you say that, there should be a price for a life loss? What we're trying to get is, what, in your opinion, what figure you would have been satisfied with?
There is nothing that will satisfy you for the loss of life. That's the point we're making.
So on the part
What
of
will bring satisfaction is the justice of arrival of a position. Until we can justify the arrival of a position, I believe the families, though may not be satisfied, can understand the rationale. There's no understanding of the rationale of arrival of compensation as is. There is only the fact that you arrive at this amount, and we would like to know how come you arrive at this amount. It is not satisfaction of the amount to be received. It is satisfaction as to how you arrive at the amount we are receiving.
Outside of compensation, culpability, the commission never formally identified, per se, an individual responsible for the deaths. Is the region going to pursue this further, maybe in the courts? Because the 3 persons did die, but nobody has ever been charged.
Earlier, after the Commission of Inquiry, the Commissioner would have concluded the report. We had submitted a letter after consultation with these victims and with other members in the community. And that letter asked the Commissioner to pursue legal action for the fact that the report clearly indicated that it is the arm of the state in the police force that did the shooting. Now, with that in mind, we asked the Commission to conduct an investigation. Where that is, I think you can ask the Commission to give it. That's it? Thanks.
Before you, you said all legal means will be pursued to talk on this matter. What exactly, specifically, what's next for you guys?
Well, I am not a lawyer. But what I can say to you is that we will be taking this to the lawyers who have been representing the families, and they have so far been advising some of the options that are available. And I think the families, if not completely satisfied, they are to some extent prepared to accept those suggestions that were put forward by the legal representatives. All right? All right, thanks everyone.